Another amazing day here to be cherished as we are up today, ready for the day. I hope everyone out there, you are doing great. You woke up well. You're starting this week inspired and strengthened with so much optimism and really honing, having a clear picture of what is it you want to accomplish this week. Hello there, Mary Tapper, the host of Inside Out Alignment, the podcast for self discovery and creativity. So, today, an exciting topic. It's kind of a little personal, not directly to me, but someone who is very close to me and who is part of me and has always been part of me from the day I was born. So, I will start by saying, let your circumstance, your conditions, don't allow them to determine your outcome. Let what people think about you, what people say about you, how people treat you, let it not make you feel like you have to accept this and make this your own. I want you to be in that space of empowerment, knowing that you are more than enough, that you have what it takes, that you were beautifully and wonderfully made, and that you have greatness inside of you. And whatever it is that you would love to achieve, you're capable. You can do it. Yes, you can. I'm saying it, and I'll keep saying it during this episode. And I want you to take, even if that is the only thing you take from this solo cast today, let it be the only thing you take. You have greatness inside you. And all you have to do is to accept that, acknowledge that, and go for what is seeking, that life that is seeking to express itself through you. In any area of your life that you feel that urge, that you feel that longing, go for it. So let's get to the topic. It's about my mother. So my mom was given to marriage when she was very young, at a very tender age. First, she grew up in a household where it was a polygamous household. Her father had 3 wives. One of the wives that her father really didn't like was my grandmother. And since he didn't have that likeness for her, so these innocent kids who never asked to come into this world were treated as such. They were looked as those who did not deserve the best of things, and that my grandfather would look for any way to bring sorrow into their heart, their life, to make them feel less than, to make them feel like they did not belong. And when my grandfather decided to give my mother in marriage, he woke up one morning and asked my mom, take this so we can go to my friend. And my mom just thought it was a visit, just like sometimes he says, let me he has something for one of his friends, and you have my mom take it, carry it for him, and then they take it there, you know. But that wasn't the case this time. Yeah. She was given to marriage to someone who was older than my grandfather. My mother cried her lungs out, but it didn't mean anything to anyone. The worst part is the mother of the child, my grandmother, did not even know this was happening. When her husband came back and she asked, where's my daughter? And he said, I've given him to marriage. And if that does not suit you, you can do what you want. This is the worst thing you want to hear from somebody. My grandmother had already lost a daughter, and she had only 2 daughters left. The elder one to my mother was already in marriage. Her own son, my grandfather kept chasing him from home and he had to go leave. And then sometimes he would come back and feel like maybe he's calmed down and things like that. But it did not stop him. When my mother was given to the last child was given to marriage in this way again, I think for my mother, that was the last straw. And she said to herself, this is it. She decided to leave my grandfather. And my mother, being in that space where she was with other women, because this man had other wives. From a polygamous home, you're married to another polygamous, family or whatever, however you're treated, that's nobody's business. In my mom's state, my mom cried, and they had somebody, guiding just to prevent her from leaving. Like they were afraid maybe she might leave or things like that because she was really in bad shape and she wouldn't take a bath. She was just out of it. While she was there, my grandfather's sister was not happy with this decision. And she took it upon herself to send one of her daughters to come and see my mom. She made some food for my mom. And then she sent her a message. And she was very clear in her message. What are you still doing there? Like, don't stay there. You don't have to. Like, you have to decide for yourself. I know you don't like it, but you have to make that decision about what you want to do with your life and who you want to marry. It wasn't as clear as this, but the message was like, what to do. It was difficult for my mom because she had people, the men watching her, and she really couldn't leave. As time went on, I think a few days later, while she was asleep, she dreams of her grandmother, and her grandmother asked her, what are you doing there? What are you doing there? She had already passed. Like, I want you to know that you're there by yourself. And this was like a wake-up call to my mother, a wake-up call. And she, at that point, she said, I don't care what is happening here. I need to go. And as she, that day was going by, the other women were in the field, working in the field with their kids and all that. And the person, that gal who was there watching her, whether he went to get some water, wherever he went to, and then my mother decided to get out of the house. When the people in the field saw her, they felt like, oh, maybe she's just looking around, getting acquainted with the area. By the way, she can't go nowhere, and things like that. And my mother walked around because my village is like it's hilly, and then it has like some green grass and all that. And it's also easy for you to hide yourself, to hide, So she walked around and just started going a little sideways, And the more you go, the more the other part of the hill will cover you from other people from seeing you. She'll do it, and then, she'll behave as if she's just walking and things like that, that she's just looking around. Finally, when she realized nobody could see her, she ran for her life. And she went to my aunt's house, to her auntie's house, pardon me. She got there. And then my aunt made her some food and was giving her. And then she was cracking some nuts and giving her, and they were talking. Then before she realized it, my mother's father, that's my grandfather's friend, was coming. And these are people who do things the same way. So she whispered to my mom, that is your father's friend coming. And he was already like almost close. And he said, when he gets here, I want you to behave as if you're following him, as if you want to go back to your father's house. But I want you to be smart. That was the message. And the reason why she said this was so it shouldn't feel like she's conniving with my mom to help her. So when the man came and then she looked at my mom, like, what are you doing here? Didn't your father give you in marriage? So you ran away? And my mother didn't say anything. After talking with the aunt, my grand aunt, then he started leaving. And my grand aunt tapped my mom and said, "Follow him. Behave as if you're following him." And then my mom let him go a little while. Then she followed a little bit behind. And then at a certain point, she coughed just to make him know that she was behind him. And as she went, he was walking. She walked slowly behind him. And while he was climbing, he got to the point where he was climbing the hill, going to his home or towards where my grandfather's place. My mom kept behaving as if she was going. She was right behind him, and she would cough several times. And then as time went on, he was confident that she was coming. My mother took another path. I don't know, inside the grass or however it is, God knows. And she escaped. She went straight to my grandmother's, where she came from, side of the family. So she went there. Because while she left and then she hid herself, she realized that the father's friend looked behind to see where she was. And when he looked and didn't see her, she was like, he decided to continue his journey. And my mom went to the mother's side of the family. While she was there, news broke that she ran away from marriage and things like that. She stayed there for a while, and that is how finally, years after, just to cut it short, she got married to my father. She went and met him because she was still not in good terms with her father, so she couldn't present anybody to him. And she decided to go meet my father, and they started having their kids. Before my father passed, bless his soul, the best father ever. He before my father passed, my mom had the best life that a woman could ask for. She was the only wife. My father did not like polygamous relationship. He loved my mother genuinely. He was so much that father who was present for us, always there, and we enjoyed him. And the beauty of this is immense. And something that I also learned about this story when my mom, because I had to ask my mom about her past, when I see certain traits, I see certain things that she does, as I came to understand that our circumstances, our conditions, our environment affects who we become. Our 5 years of life, 6 years, 7 years of life, where we grow up, the things that we see, the things that we hear, the way people are treated around us, our environment, that it affects us immensely. So I wanted to know more about my mom, because growing up, we felt like she was too hard on us. She was too harsh on us. And when I understood that, her upbringing was not easy at all, I came to understand this, my mother. I saw that it was her environment that brought her up that way. She didn't know better, but she loves us genuinely. And that gave me the opportunity not to blame her, but to understand her. And one thing that I will also want to bring, as I've shared this story with you, is that Amongst all the suitors who came for my grandfather's girls, the only person who really honored my grandfather was my father. That person that he really didn't want to see, and that person that he didn't really consider as a husband to the daughter, because that's not the person he chose for her. When he was sick, it was my father who bought him medication, who sent his wife and food and money for hospital bills and all that. Before my grandfather passed, he had understood that his ways were not the best of ways. And he had made peace with his daughter. And as that everything that had happened in the past, that he forget about it, which is a good thing. How many of us even have the opportunity, to be able to acknowledge what we've done that was not right or was not good for the other people, or that we've treated badly? How many of us have been able to acknowledge that? So he did that before he passed away. And he said one thing also, that I want you guys to stay better than I did. I want to learn from my mistakes. It wasn't the best of it. And that is what we are supposed to be learning from things that happen around us. Because something has been happening for 100 years, for the past 50 years, does not make it right. If it is bringing sadness, if it is bringing low self-esteem, if it is bringing, if it makes somebody feel less than enough, not at all. The question we are supposed to be asking ourselves is, what can we do to change this? What steps can we take today to make our life much better? What can we do to have a good relationship where we can have real conversations? My mother growing up, they didn't have a say about anything. It was like if an elder said something to you and you said something, or maybe you had a different opinion, it looked like that was disrespectful. Like I was born before you. In our culture, that's how it has been. Because you were born, I have 4 kids. And they bring my attention to many things that I do wrong. But I have to be able to acknowledge, to be humble enough to acknowledge that if I want to grow, if I want to be a better person, because nobody knows it all. And life is a journey where we learn every single day. Another point I really want to bring here is my mother herself. It didn't matter what everybody else was saying. If you are in a predicament and you decide not to make a decision, not to decide for what is it you want, not to decide for the direction that you're ready to take towards a goal, towards a dream, towards something, that deep longing, it's going to fall on you, because you'll be the one living that miserable life and not somebody else, because you're trying to make other people happy. But at the end of the day, are you happy? Because one thing that we want to take from here also is, if you're not happy, you won't be able to give happiness to other people. If you do not love yourself enough to understand that this life that I'm living is not my life, it's somebody else's life. What is my life? What is the life that I want for myself? What is the life? What is that yearning, that thing that I keep feeling like I need to do? What is the direction that I want to take? You have to be ready to take the steps ourselves. After my mother's aunt sent the message, after she dreamt of her grandmother saying that to her, if she didn't get up and move forward and make the decision to leave and decided to leave, her life wouldn't have changed. It doesn't matter what everybody else says. Her father saw her as less than nothing, giving her into marriage, without her permission or her mother's permission, as if she was nothing. What other people think of you does not determine your outcome. What people feel like you are or have said to you, which makes you feel less than enough, or which makes you feel like, oh, maybe they're right. No, they're not. What do you say about yourself? What I say about you is that you are more than enough. You have what it takes. You have greatness in you. The voice of truth is in you, is in me, is in all of us, but that voice is only as loud as our willingness to listen to it. Because we grow up in an environment, in a society where they say this is the right thing to do, and we just move and just follow through, or in a culture where a woman doesn't have a voice, you can't say what you think, you don't say what you feel, you can express your feelings, you can have some real conversations with your loved ones, does not make it right. Or because that has been there for a long time does not make it right. You decide on what is it you want, because each and every one of us came into this world with our blueprint. I have my own blueprint. You have your own blueprint, which is unique to each and every one of us here. And we have to be the ones deciding for ourselves according to that blueprint, according to the purpose for which we know we're here for, looking at our passions, our values, and those things that we would love to do that will bring us fulfillment. Because if I'm fulfilled, I'll be able to spread that around me. But if I'm not, can you imagine the frustration and the things that I'll be doing around for those who are around me? I'll make their life miserable as well. And each and every one of us is here to live our life. You want to live your life? You don't want to live somebody else's life. Because we all have our journey. And respecting that, supporting each other is what is needed. If my mother hadn't decided to take that step herself and get out of that place, nothing would have happened. That was an uncharted course, because the God could have caught her. The man to whom she was married was older than her father, had very big kids, who could have run and caught her and brought her back. But you know what? When you make a firm decision, even in the absence of knowing how this is going to happen, the universe conspires to assist you. That spirit, that energy, which is always ready to support us, but you have to take that step first for it to move in. I'm not sure about what you're going through today. I'm not sure about what is happening in your life. I'm not sure how long you've been in this situation. And the one thing I also want to add before I finish this other part is my mother had the people's support. Her brother supported her. Her mother supported her. People on her mother's side and her aunt, she had that support. So look for people who are ready to support you in this dream. They might even be outsiders. As long as you're not doing anything that's going to harm anybody, who is going to harm you, or you're going to harm yourself and things like that, they are in alignment. We know how to distinguish the good and the wrong because we have two voices. We have the voice of truth that speaks to us. Circumstance, our conditions, and what others think about us should not determine our outcome. So whatever it is you're going through today, either you've been in relationships where you move from one person to another and it never works. And it always seems like you're dating the same person. Just the faces change because the behavior, the things that happen, and then, it never lasts. You're having the same result. They say if you keep doing what you've always done, you always get what you've always gotten. So you need to look at you first. The choices you are making, whether it's in your career, that you don't feel fulfilled. You're doing this, but you don't feel energized going to work. You feel like something is lacking. You're overwhelmed. You're stressed. You have a deep longing. You're not clear of it, or you're even clear, but you're afraid to go towards that. Seek for assistance. Seek for help. It's always good to seek for help. Be with people who empower you, who would support you, who will be your partners in belief. Decide on what is it you want for yourself. And if you still don't have clarity, do not hesitate to contact me. I'm here and I can give you a one-on-one strategy session where we get deep into what is it that you love. We get clear on we get to the root cause of your problem so you can find clarity and start creating that life that you absolutely love living. But you have to decide first. Do not forget that. You have to decide for yourself. You have to decide when it's inconvenient. You have to decide when you don't feel like. You have to decide when everyone is against you. You have to decide when you feel reluctant. You have to decide what is it you would love or what is it you want. Everything that is created started as a thought. So pay attention to your thoughts. What is it that keeps coming up? How do you feel about it? Yeah, I wanted to really share this because for me, I'm happy I was able to have these conversations with my mother, and learning about them helped me understand them, really understand her better. If you have anybody in your life, maybe a mother, a grandmother, or your aunt, sometimes just talk with them. Just ask them to talk to you about themselves, about their childhood. People like to talk about themselves. It was a great relief because I had to ask so many questions. And these are things that she'd never shared with anyone. My mother had 9 kids. And I'm the only one who really asked her these questions. So I felt privileged and really honored and thankful for that guide and accepting to actually getting to knowing her better. Yeah. And to understand everything that happened. It makes me better, and it makes me to not judge, but to understand. So I hope you're having a marvelous week. I hope you got some value here and that you got inspired. I wish you a wonderful and great week ahead. Take care. And don't forget that there is greatness in you. Life itself seeking to expand itself through you. A freer and full expression through you. All you have to say is that yes, today is the day I'm going for my dream. Today is the day I'm taking that action. Bye for now.